Hashem Yisbarach. Yom Revi Parshas Bechukosai Shnas Tofshin Ayin Vov Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. This week's Parsha we have the Parshas of the Teichacha. There are two Parshas in the Torah, Bechukosai and Parshas Kisavai, that discuss a whole list of Yisurim, Soros, and the like that come upon Klal Yisroel and individuals for v'im lo yisishmu li, you're not listening to the mitzvahs and not doing the mitzvahs. Now, the Torah starts with the brachas, schar, and then it talks about the onshim. And the Torah goes into very great detail of the onshei shamayim and the midas hadin that happens if a person turns his back on his obligation in this world. Now the teva of a mensch is, a mensch does not want to hear teichacha. He would like that people and episodes don't cause him to be unrestful and uneasy with all kind of warnings. A person likes to put his head in the sand and to sink into a deep sleep of chaloimos, dreams, even though his pathway that he's choosing is going to end up in no good. The Chavetz Chaim used to say that the Parshas of Bechukosai and Kisavai are not popular Parshas. He said there was even a custom in some shtettlach in Europe that when it came to these parshias, they wouldn't read the Kriyas HaTorah in public. We read it quietly, we read it quickly. People are afraid to take the aliyahs, as if taking the aliyah is going to give them an einish. The Kaina. So when people have decided they're not going to watch them call. They'll mevatel legamri on the Shabbos, these Shabbos is Kriyas HaTorah. However, Shlomo Melech tells us, Musar Hashem bini al timos. The Musar of Hashem, my son, don't be moyes, don't repulse it. Va'al tokoitz v'teichachtoi, don't reject Hashem's rebuke. But foolish people have the impression that if you somehow say the teichacha, or you read in the Torah the Teichacha, then it's going to come. But if you don't mention it, then it's not going to happen. And they're going to be protected. Many people like that. Their foolishness, they're like the person who's going on a certain trip. The guy asks him, how are you going there? He said, I'm traveling in this road. I remember I once took my Rebbe to Meron and back. So it was a long trip up. So on the way back, we decided maybe we should take the shorter route. There was another fellow there who told me he knows a shorter route. I said, what's that? It's called Derech HaBikah, or Jordan Valley. Okay? Told my Rebbe, it's already late. And Elzok, I said, this year is suggesting that we go through Derech HaBikah. So Rebbe made with his hand, he waved away with his hand, and he said, "Wie gehen nicht dort?" I said, "Why not?" He said, "Derech Mesukin." So I went to the guy, I told the guy, I understand that Nevinch is Derech Sakana. The guy said, we'll travel together. A shayar is together, so we'll have safety in numbers. I said, how are we going to travel? So you'll travel ahead and I'll travel behind you. So I told Rebbe was listening to this guy's suggestion. He said, you hear what the guy says? You should go in the front, you catch the bullets for him, and then he'll go around us, he'll be don't let this guy get back. People have this akshadas that don't tell me about the dangers. If I don't know about the danger on the roads, I'm going to be safe. Remember the guy told me, what do you ask a question about the danger? Just go. So I said, I want to get there, my friend. But people think that if you close your eyes to dangers and sakonas, then you're going to be insured. And they never thought to realize that by going into a dangerous place and not aware of a danger, you know what you're doing? Not only are you not saving yourself from danger, but you are elevating your danger. Let's say a guy is going on a road, and I tell you this road is a dangerous road, but I have to go. So what do? I try to go as quietly as possible. I try to look wherever I'm going, make sure to run off the road as soon as I see something. If I see that some guy tells me it's full of virus, it's full of potholes, dangerous potholes, I'm gonna keep my eyes on watch, this and that. But if you don't know, it's much worse. Your chances of getting in danger are much more heightened. That's what a person has to understand. The Navi Yeshaya came, and he says like this, the Klal Yisroel, Al me suku, oid toisifu sara. Chavetz Chaim explained, what does that mean? He said, fools don't understand that all Yisurim and all stress that a person has in his life are a message from Shamayim in order for a person to better himself from a ruchniistic aspect. A person has to make tikkunim. So instead of doing tshuva, instead of demanding from themselves their behavior should get better, they have all kind of kashas on Hashem's hashkacha. Why did Hashem do this? Why does He bring such great sorrow on these people? Instead of bettering themselves, they turn themselves and they make themselves much worse, and they cause themselves more makkos. By saying that, you get more makkos. The Navi says, Almeh, what are you getting beat for? Almeh tuku. Why are you letting yourself get beat? You cause yourself. all this tzaras, kol roish l'choli, v'chol levav davoi, mikaf regel, ad roish, ein boi misoim, petza v'chaburo, makatria. You're full of mamish, makis. What are you getting hit for? If you're not ignoring it, toisifu tzara, you're going to add more tzaras to yourself. And what people don't realize is that if a person gets messages from Hashem, it says, "V'im telchu imi keri," if you're going to go with me, and you're going to say it's a mikra, you're going to say, no. So then, v'lo yisoivu lishmoyali, and you're not going to willing to commit to me. V'yosafti aleichem mako sheva kechat yiseichem. And one of the greatest difficulties, Hashem said, you're going to get punished sevenfold. 7 times. Hear that? Now, Rashi says over here, "Im telchu imi keri," what it means is, if a person, Parsha you can learn, that means if a person goes b'derech mikra. Rashi says more than that. Let's say a person betters himself, but he only does it temporarily. A lot of people have what you call temporary sanity. That means when the makkos come, so for right then they give tzedakah, they do a little tshuva, and then as soon as the makkah goes away, goodbye. So it's eina ela leprokim, they're serving Hashem. And that's how they do mitzvahs. Hashem said, no. Now, you know what the difficulty is? When your makkah gets expounded 7 times, now you're trying to think, what's the aveira you did to figure out what happened? Now, in the olden days, when there were Nevi'im around, when a person had a makkah, so you can go to the Navi, and you can ask the Navi, what's the reason that this happened to me? Now, I'm sure there were people then also that when they got a headache, they didn't want to go to Navi. I'm sure it was a little bit embarrassing to go to a Navi. You know, it's like, let's say a person has certain diseases that he picked up from doing bad behavior. And then he gets sick. He's not going to want to go to his family doctor. The family doctor, "You're a nice boy. I remember you from a little boy." Now you're going to go to him. He said, "My liver is killing me." Liver is killing you. You got cirrhosis. Are you into drinking? Are you into alcoholism? You're not going to go to him. You're going to go to some free clinic somewhere. You're not going to want to go to the guy who's going to find out damage about you. Well, let's say you have other kind of diseases. Yeah, you're not going to want to go to your family local Hamish doctor, maybe the Baal Tshuva, maybe the guy who was the Amika, and the guy's going to say, "What, you? Yeah, what's that disease?" So you can be sure that in the time of Chazal, the time when they had Nevi'im, there was also big bushes. You know why? Whenever you went to the Navi, you had a little headache. But today you go to a headache, you go to a doctor, you have a sore throat, you go to a doctor. He doesn't tell you anything. You have a toothache. But the dentist has any idea why, what you call it? The dentist hopes you have a big toothache. He hopes he can mamish go to work on you. He looks at you as Baruch Hashem, Kain Yirbu. He's muttering under his breath the whole time, keep coming, keep it coming. Whatever is causing this, you should keep causing it. It lines his pockets. But imagine if every time you went to the doctor with a headache, the guy would tell you, you just thought you had machshavas rois. And let me tell you why it's on this side of the head. Let me tell you what's in front of the head. Because the machshavah you were thinking about was not some bad machshavah. There's some bad machshavas, but this time you had like the emes bad machshavas. You were chayshe machshavas, maybe eishes ish, maybe you had machshavas that your brothers called toyevos, abominations. Who knows what went through your sick mind? And now you're going to have to go to the doctor and go to the Navi. Navi will tell you what's going on with you. Oy vey. And then here's a guy, a nice fellow, goes to the doctor, his throat's hurting. The doctor goes, open your throat, looks inside, the Navi looks inside. You see, Lashon Hara. You spoke Lashon Hara about your father. Show me your father. That's terrible. Let me see, let me look, check again. Open your, stick your tongue out wide. It puts that stick in there, and Lashon Hara about your mother. Oh, Osher met your Rebbe too? Osher, you spoke bad against Hashem. You come here, your throat's full of pus. Your mom, you can't talk, you can't do this. You spoke bad against HaKadosh Baruch. You're gonna be Zaynis it is. Big Zaynis. So you can be sure people don't enjoy this kind of thing. But at least if you wanted to get rid of the machla, you had an easy way. You can go to the Navi, you could be machni yourself, and you knock on the door, you say, instead of saying, I don't know why this happened to me, I'm such a nice person, you come in and you say, Chotosi, I want to be machni myself, Chotosi, Avisa, Pashaiti, please tell me, which chet exactly is this for? And the guy gives you a check, he checks you out. Oh, maybe your leg's hurting you, checking out where you went, what you didn't go to. How come you didn't go to Chasna? Your friend had a Chasna, you didn't go. How come there was a Shalom Zocher, you didn't go? How come somebody had Bikkur Chaylim, you didn't go? How come your friend asked you, how come you didn't go? What did you say? Oh, I was so sick, I was so this, my wife was sick, my family was sick, I had such stress. But really, it's baloney, you didn't go because you understand? So what if I have a mitzvah Bikkur Chaylim? I'm going to take care of you for Bikkur Chaylim? I wanted to take a nap. Someday we'll find out. I'm to take a nap, and you don't take care of people, you don't care of anybody else. V'keina. So now you don't go. So now it becomes Sheva al Chatei Seich. Sevenfold. Sevenfold is bad news. You know what? 'Cause now you can't even begin. What do you do today? Today there's no Nevi'im. So what's the Eitzah today? Chazal tell us, in Roya Adam, she is Surim Boy Malov, Fash B'Maisav. The first thing you do is you mefashmish. What do you look at? You look at the derech sha'ad, the moidid and loy. You have to see the aver that's bothering you. Chazal say that aver that a person sinned with, that's the aver that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what you call. So you have to think, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you over here? What is Baruch Hu telling you over here? And you sit and you think. So this is what you most have people have. People who don't like Teichacha, if they're forced to, they stop to think and they say, why did this happen? So they say either one or two things. What did I do wrong with that tooth? They can't figure out, but that tooth? What I do with this finger? This way. But maybe it's your hand. Maybe did a head with your feet, you have to have your whole foot hurting. Hashem starts off a little bit. Hashem gives you a little bit, so now a little knock on the door, and Hashem's telling you, wake up. Then you don't listen. If you wake up, you listen, you think about it. So this is what happens generally. People either do one or two things. Either they think, I did a little thing like that, but that Hashem would never do that for that. I mean, how do you know what Hashem would do? Tell somebody. I'm just curious. How do you know? You know what I mean? That's number one. Number two, or you start to think, where am I going to start? I got so many averas. I'm surprised I have any teeth left in my mouth. I'm surprised I have 2 legs and still 10 toes. But all the averas I did, I should have nothing left anymore. You don't realize Hashem is Racham. Hashem gives you a warning. Today you have to work. What if you ignored the warning and now it gets compounded 7 times? And then the pasuk goes on and says, "The im be'ele loy tivosruli." What if in these things, loy tivosruli, you're not going to get disciplined. You're not going to wake up. And weiter, you're going to go bekeri. Weiter is v'halachti afani mochem bekeri. I'm going to also go bekeri. V'hi kesi eschem gam oni sheva al chatoi seichem. Hashem said, I'm going to now 7 times more. Oh, you're just going to look, and you ever heard that statement? When it rains, it pours. Now, when it rains, it's not supposed to pour. When it rains, you're supposed to do tshuva right away, and then it stops pouring. If you don't, then it starts to pour. Rains, it pours is the result of a person not doing it. Now, this is a very, very important lesson. The Brisker Rav once went to the doctor, and the doctor asked him, from what is the Rav sick? Mima HaRav choleh. He wanted to understand what's bothering you. Tell me exactly what's the mach. Brisker Rav said, Von was bin ich krank? From what am I sick? I'll tell you. From chatoyim, from avoinos, from pshoyim, from those things I am sick. Of maisim toivim, for doing good things, they don't pay you up with machlis. That's what it said. Yeah, cook for the biscuit off. That's how he answered. Person has to understand. Reb Shlomo Lawrence writes that one time he was in the Mir, and one of the Bachrim in the Mir Yeshiva, who came from Hungary, where he came from also, needed a surgery in his intestines, in a kishkis. The local doctor warned that if you don't take care of this immediately, it's a sakonos nefashos. So this bacher asked Shlomo Lawrence if he would travel with him to Vilna to be an assistant, to help him out b'shas the surgery. So I went to the mashgiach, Chatzkel Levenstein, to ask Rishus to what's him called. He said, as a zaytik zach, no bacher ever left the yeshiva, even the Mir yeshiva with sport a bacher. And it's an important zach. No bacha ever left the yeshiva without taking permission. No, I told him mashkiach about the machla, and while I wanted to emphasize how important it was, so I said the doctor warned about the importance of this surgery, doing it immediately. It's a threat hovering over this bacha. The mashkiach heard this. He Pasha turned white like a sheet, and he began to shake. I didn't understand this sudden change, and I thought, in my simpleness, I thought that the mashgiach is taking it to heart that a bacher in his yeshiva has come to such a matziv, such a serious health matziv, mamish sakonos nefashos, and this machshava was driven out of me quickly. Suddenly I heard the mashgiach give a shrai with all his koiches. Says also, it's forbidden to say the things you just said. It's also to say the thing you just said. He said, "Von a schleppe kishke starb mir nicht." From a weak intestines, you don't die. Mishtab, no, von chet. You just told me the guy could die if he doesn't take care of this. He can die from his weak, his kishka problem. You don't die from kishka problems, he said. Ein hanocha shmeimis, the Gemara says. Ela chet meimis. It was a zamin shrai he gave out mitzakas haleiv. He said, I Pashat felt the charada. I Pashat felt overcome with fear. I saw it literally in my own eyes, the whiteness. I saw the year Shemayim that was there. He said, when he said the story over, he said, I'm sure he said it many times, he said, 70 years has gone by, he said. And the Rosh that was made then was not erased from me. You have to understand that people are their own enemies. If they would take the message, they would wake up. And I'm going to share with you a nerdic gemaisa of a person could be sick, knocking on death's door, and he was makabel to be Shemei al Hashem, seriously, anything can change. It was a Friday afternoon, the summertime, and I get a call, what I considered late. It wasn't like 1 o'clock, it was more like 3, 4 o'clock. Somebody calls me up and he says to me, my mother is in the hospital in her final moments. Could you please go to her and do whatever you're supposed to do at this time and place? So I said, looked at the clock, I said, okay. He said, no, it's late. I said, I'm going right away. I said, is it mamish? He said, it's mamish, we're holding already. I said, when did it start? He said, no, it's a few days already. It's going down and down and down and down. Okay. Jumped into my car. I drove over to Hillcrest Hospital. Went up to the floor. Walked down the hall, looking for a room number. I noticed 3 doctors standing outside the room. I walked over to them and I said, is the patient Mrs. So-and-so here? Yes. I said, are you with her? Yes. I said, what's the situation? So we give it an hour and a half. I said, that's Gesisa, that's at the end already, you know. I said, you are? He told me his name. What kind of doctor are you? One guy was a neurologist, one guy was a nephrologist, and one guy was a lung doctor. So all her organs are basically, not the word they use, challenged, and they're closing down. I said, is it all right if I go in? He said, you go in. He said, I said, she conscious? He said, barely. She said she's been in a state of unconsciousness for the last 3 days. She hasn't eaten anything. She's just laying there. I walked in. She wasn't tied to machines. It was a little, not a big woman. And she was 81 years old. And she was laying with her hands next to her, like just mamish, like she was preparing for the final trip. And I came in, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't talk to her. So I fumbled into her drawer, and there was a sitter there that her son had brought her. And I took out the sitter. She wasn't an observant woman. And I took out the sitter, and I began to say some tehillim. Then I wanted to see if I can get some, so I went, try to get a little thing, and her eyes blinked open. And I said, hi. I said, hello, Mrs. So-and-so. I'm Brog. I said, and she blinked like she recognized me, recognition. And I said to her, I understand you're sleeping a lot. There's a custom that before you go to sleep, you say the Shema. I wanted to get her to say the Shema, and do a little tshuva, but you're not supposed to scare a person, it says, before they die. You have to do it in a way that you don't. So I said, is it okay if I say the Shema? Would you like to say the Shema Yisroel with me? I'll say it, you listen, and have in mind as if you're saying it. And she blinked a couple times, and I took the siddur, I turned to the Krishma Lamita, and then I said to her, there's another custom that before you say the Krishma Lamita at night, you say a little, you make peace with your fellow men, you make peace with your Creator, and you say, I'm Moichel, anybody who sinned to me, and I'm Hashem, and I'm Moichel me, you give the whole thing. I said this whole thing, and she was in and out. Then she closed her eyes again. Then, but that when I came there, none of the family was there. I don't know where they were, but none of them weren't there. Then they came in, and I told them that I had just said the Shema with the mother. I said that Mechila with the mother. I said, then I went again. She opened her eyes, and I said, Mrs. So-and-so, would you like to make a deal? Would you like to make a deal? I said. She So she looked at me like I'm crazy, you know what I mean? It's not the deal-making moment here. But she said to me, she mouthed the words, with who? She didn't speak, but that's what you say. I said, oh, not with me. I said, a deal with Hashem. She said, what? I said, do you accept to do the will of Hashem, even if it's not your will? Are you willing to subjugate your will to the will of Hashem? She closed her eyes again. I thought I lost her. A few moments later, she opened up her eyes. What? I said, the what we'll discuss when you get better. But right now, accept in your mind to do the will of Hashem, even though it's hard. And she said, okay. At that time, at that moment, there was a new nursing shift that came on, and the new nurse came in, saw I was standing around the bed with a frum son, a frum wife, there was a fry son, and a goyish wife, all standing around, and the shiksa saw the lady who was waking up, was like a little conscious, so she took out a cookie and tried to offer her a cookie, but like she made like a face, like, you know, like, give me a taiva, so the nurse came in and she said, oh, she's Orthodox? I didn't know. I said, yes, she's Orthodox. So she said, how Orthodox? I said, what do you mean, how Orthodox? Let me get my stick out. I said, how do you get my measuring? She said, what do you mean? She said, well, in the hospital, there are different levels. There are some people that will not move the bed. Some people won't tear paper. Some people won't put the light on. Some people won't call the nurse. How Orthodox? I wasn't sure what to say. And all of a sudden, the lady said, now very. And she said, now very Orthodox. That was her own words. I said, you heard what she said? Now very? She said, I said, could you bring the Shabbos box? Shabbos had candles, there was like grape juice, it had matzah, it had filter fish. I said, yeah, please bring it. The nurse came back a few minutes later without it, and she said to me, who are you? I said, I'm a rabbi. No, she said, Rabbi, the lady doesn't have much left to live. There's a DNR on her, no resuscitation. She's finished. I mean, she's in the final moments of her life. I don't think we need a Shabbos box. I said, I hear what you're saying. Could you humor me? I said, humor me. Bring me the box. Well, you know. She said, okay. She brought me the box, put it down next to her bed, took out the electric candles. They got the filter fish, about the juice over there. And then I was getting real late at this point in time, so I went home, and before I left, I said to her, Mrs. So-and-so, I said, I want you to know that I'm going to go home. Do you like chicken soup? Do you like salmon? Do you like some salad? I said, I'm going to go home and send you for Shabbos chicken soup, salad, fish. I ran home and I told my daughter, my wife packed up one of these little mikachol things, and I said, told my daughter, run to the hospital and deliver this to her, put it right next to her bed, and leave right away. There's no time. I had gone to shul already by that time. There was still time between Kabbalah Shabbos earlier, so it's slow. There was some, but I had gone to shul. And then I came home afterwards, and everybody was there. I sat down with a meal, and I made my table of holidays. And then I said to my daughter, oh, by the way, what happened? She said, what happened? I said, did you bring the food? She said, sure. I said, she was very happy with the food. I said, what do you mean? Well, she sat up in bed, she asked for her glasses, and I gave her the glasses on the side of the bed. I said, was anybody there at that time? She said, there was 2 friar people there. Those were the sheikhs, watch them called. And she said, I want to see the food. She opened up the food, my daughter, she smelled it, she said, oh, that smells good. My daughter said, I got to run. She put it down, she ran home. Come on, daughter, are you sure you went to the right bed? And she told me she sat up in bed. She sat up in bed. I said, you sure you went to the first bed in the room, not the second bed in the room? I said, which room did you go to? The kids here, Motzei Shabbos, I couldn't wait. I don't remember if I went there Motzei Shabbos or I called Motzei Shabbos, but I got in contact with them, and the son told me that she's fine like a fiddle. I said, what do you mean? She said, it was a wonderful Shabbos, fine like a fiddle. So I came to the hospital to visit her, next day, I think, and the son asked me, if she's going to ask me what's the will of Hashem, what shall I tell her? I said, the will of Hashem is to do something that she doesn't want to do. That's the will of Hashem. Do something she wants to do and that's easy is not called doing the will of Hashem. It's called doing what she wants. So he said, what do you have in mind? I said, we're going to start with something simple. I said, we're going to start with her covering her hair. That's what we're going to start. 81-year-old lady, it's time for her to cover her hair. She's married, she has a husband. Time for her to cover her hair. The guy looked at me like, you crazy? That's it? I said, that's a big zach. I said, Tznius, it says in the pasuk, when you need Hashem to be shomer you, it says, Lo yirah b'cha ervas davar v'shav me'achrecha, if Hashem sees Tznius, Hashem is shomer. Hashem doesn't see Tznius, he's not shomer. So, the lady, I said, make sure. He said, okay. Monday she was discharged from the hospital. Next Shabbos they were sitting by the table, and they were talking about what was last week and what was now, and they realized the change. So the mother said, I wonder what Rabbi Brog has in mind to tell me to do. So the son said, I actually know. So what is it? He said, he wants you to cover your hair. So she said, is he crazy? And she said, is he crazy? The only thing I have left is my hair. And he wants me to cover that up? And the hair was nothing to look at, trust me. You can look at, when you looked at this hair, you had a tzarachi, and why is the hair in an erva? But the kids here, I thought it would do her a lot of positive assistance. You would have thought maybe she's then 79 instead of 81. But Al Kapanim, so his son said, I don't think you're in a position to. The vice it hit in the kuda with her. She got upset, she stood up, walked away from the table, went to her room. A few hours later, she had a relapse. They rushed her to the hospital. Motzei Shabbos, the son calls me up. He's crying on the phone, but tells me the whole story. What shall I do? I said, well, what can I do? I don't control anything. I said, I'm sorry to tell you that, but I said she made a deal with Hashem, and then she broke it. I mean, you can't break deals with Hashem. The kids here, it got worse and worse, and I came to visit her during that week again, and this time she was attached to all kind of machines. She had her face in this big mask, and I came in and said, hello, Mrs. So-and-so, how are you? And her hands were tied to the bed, and her feet were tied. And she had a tube. It wasn't a pleasant situation. And she was having a lot of stress. And the doctor came in, and I said, how bad is it? He says, this time, she ain't going to see the light of day. He said to me, I said, Doc, if I was you, I would never say never. I said, I would never say never. He said, well, okay, I won't say never. This is why I'll tell you never. If she ever gets out of the hospital, she's never going to walk in the street again, because her lungs have been so challenged so stressed that she's going to be in a nursing facility. I said, I wouldn't bet on it. But I went back to the lady, I started talking to her, and she said to me that, we started talking, it was very hard to talk, I couldn't stand it because she had this thing over her mouth, and the son kept on picking it up. And she said, I'm willing to give tzedakah. I said, Hashem doesn't need your tzedakah. I said, Hashem wants to see that you're going to break your will and do His will. So she says to me, she was just not stupid, she just said, all the Rabbanim's wife in Cleveland didn't cover their hairs. I said, Mrs. So-and-so, let me explain how it is. It used to be that the Rabbanim's wife generally did not cover their hair. But all those Rabbanims and their wives are not with us anymore. Today's Rabbanim are covering their hair, and the wives are covering their hair. Everybody's covering their hair today, and it's a different era. So which group do you want to be part of? The part that is gone, or the part that is here? You know, Al David. It's not a bargain. I said, it's not a bargain. It's not a marketplace. I said, it's not, you got to do what the will of Hashem is. It's across the board. She wasn't masking, and eventually she fell into a coma. But the son had arranged, the Prim's son had arranged to bring a snood to the hospital. On Friday night, she opened her eyes in the middle of the night, and she said to the son, this thing for Rabbi Brog, did he make it up? He said, no. It's brought down a Shulchan Aruch, it's a Gemara, it's covering the hair, it's Das Moshe, it's Tiferes, Rosh Isha, the Gemara said in Subis, the Chavetz Chaim passed like that. I told him if she has, just tell him the Gemara, it's a Shulchan Aruch, Chavetz Chaim, the Poskim, everybody passed like that. Okay? So she said, how would I do it if I wanted to? He said, I think I have a head covering here for you. He pulled out the snood. But so he said, I said, make sure that when if she ever acquiesces and does it, that she does it not because of me. She does it because it's the will of Hashem. And she put it on her head, grabbed a hold of the tichel, and then she conked out. She went into a coma. After Shabbos, she called me. She was still in a coma, but he told me the story. He said, you think she's going to live? I said, I'm not Hashem, I don't know. But I'm happy. Even if she's not going to live, I said, at least she's going to leave the world and with one foot forward, the right foot forward instead of the left foot forward. To make a long story short, because later ready, this lady lived. She went to a nursing home, when she came out of the nursing home, and she was healthier than before she went into the hospital the first time. She was only able to walk 80 steps before she went into the hospital. And now, a few months later, she was up to 280 steps. She had this machine with her, this oxygen machine, and she said to me, tell anybody you want to come to the house, and I'd be glad to tell the story. And I saw what happens if you do the will of Hashem. So I tell people, it doesn't make a difference where you are. People say you want to change. No one wants to change. People don't want to change. People like to stick with their own guns. If that's what your position is, so then expect to get the beat down. And then when you get beaten down, you say, what did I do so wrong? Nothing. You just dissed Hashem. You threw Hashem under the bus. You said, Hashem, that's your will is one thing I don't do. I'm willing to do this. I want to do that. I want to do yents and duns and ahin and aheh. But your will, Hashem, I'm not ready to subjugate it. I got to be independent. I can't do things by force. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us the strength to do the will of Hashem, Batzaitis, in the right time, so that we're zeicha to be spared. When we get the message, Hashem takes away the message quickly because the message was received.